Hi, everybody. It's Angie Atkinson, and today at QueenBeing.com, we're going to talk about narcissists and pregnancy. Let's get started. Okay, so like I said, my name's Angie Atkinson. I'm a certified life coach, an author, and a survivor. In this episode of Go Ask Angie, I will be covering questions and comments from two people YouTuber Shawntina Marshall, right here, and there she is. She's beautiful. And YouTuber Blessed Butterfly. And here she, or he, I believe, yes, she is. Okay. So, what's really interesting about this case is that we have two women here who are talking about how they have been left in pregnancy by narcissists. Okay. Now, the first one, Miss Shantina here, says, I need your help. My ex narcissist has 8 kids by 8 women, but he leaves all of them during pregnancy. Can you explain this? I'm going to try. All right. Before we carry on, I want to go ahead and kind of go through some of these comments, and then I'm going to come back and share my thoughts on them, okay? Okay, so this started a pretty good conversation on this video that I did yesterday about whether what it takes to be narc bait, as I called it, which is someone who attracts narcissists by nature. So Shantina then said that she has just been through this. All the mothers say that he doesn't come back around until the child is 5 or 6 years old. And her child is going to be 7 years younger than his youngest child up to this point. And then Blessed Butterfly hopped in and she says, well, my ex narc did this too. He left when I was 3 months pregnant and then showed back up right before birth. He has 4 children by 3 women. He just left the kids and moved states away. He just left his kids and moved states away. He has a habit of bailing in and out of his children's life whenever he wants. So unfortunate. And then Shantina says, well, hers left her by publicly dating another woman on Facebook 6 weeks into her pregnancy. And this is the kicker, said he would leave her if she aborted her child. And then, of course, went back and forth for the whole pregnancy. She said, after my son was 4 months old, I found someone else and he smeared me all over Facebook and had his girlfriend file a protection order against me because her new, Shantina's new boyfriend was his new girlfriend's cousin. Big mess. Big mess indeed, my friend. And then Blessed Butterfly comes back. I cannot. I cannot. She says that her ex left her when she was 3 months pregnant to be with her freaking twin sister. Okay, first of all, twin sister should never even be in that equation because a twin sister or any sister should not stab her sister in the back that way. That's really messed up. And quite honestly, no matter how amazing some dude is, if he gets my sister pregnant and then leaves her, ain't no way I'm gonna be with him. Promise you that. And I don't know any self-respecting woman who did. No offense to your sister. All right. And then Shantina says that her horrible people in her life are her mom, grandma, and aunt, narcissistic people. Girl, I feel you. And you know what happens is that, when we grow up with narcissists, it's so much easier for us to fall in with them. Okay. Yeah. And then let me see if there's anything else I need to cover here. No. Okay. So that's where we're at right now. We are going to be back with other responses to other questions. But for now, one moment, I'm going to get you ready for our presentation. All right. So today I'm going to answer the question, why do narcissists leave you when they get you pregnant and how do you deal with it? Let's go. All right, so I know you've been totally shocked by this horrible situation, Shantina, and who in the world could blame you? Between your own pregnancy and other children that you're dealing with and the devalue and discard that you've just gone through, it's really kind of amazing that you're still standing. And I want you to take credit for that. Be proud of it. But stand you will because you're a mother, and honey, that's what we do. Mothers keep standing. Okay? Now, I want to focus on this. So much of what you wrote sounds familiar to me on more than one level. For example, my first husband actually treated my oldest son like a total piece of property. He'd ignore the baby while no one was looking, but when people were around, he was, of course, Mr. Perfect, the perfect father. father. He was showing them off. He was always telling people how amazing he was. It was like, hey, look what I did. I made this baby. Of course, in private, it was a whole other story because he would just completely ignore him, and it was no good. Once I finally got a clue and left that guy's ass, I quickly realized that the only reason for his ever wanting to see my son was that he wanted to get back in my life. I realized that, I was just done, and quickly so was he. He faded away exactly as I suspected that he would. And as a matter of fact, he's not seen that kid since the kid was 16 months old, and my son will be 19 years old next month. So yeah. In fact, when he was 9, just a little off topic here, when he was 9, I finally the child support people finally caught up with him, and guess what he did? He contacted me for the first time in 9 years, and said, "Hey, aren't you going to have someone adopt our child?" Yeah, that happened. Anyway, real peach, real peach. Didn't even ask if the kid was still breathing, but didn't want his money taken. So there you go. Anyway, my suggestion is to try to focus on the good stuff here. You, Shantina, are having a new baby, or you just had a new baby. And of course, as you know, babies are adorable and full of potential. That's a positive, right? So I want you to focus on taking care of yourself and your other kids right now, and don't worry so much about what the narcissist is doing. If I'm you, I'm going to spend your spare time decorating the nursery and generally just not thinking about him, okay? However, with that being said, you know, you need to think about what's next, okay? So, look, I've been a single mom and I know how hard it is. It can, though, and it will get better when you start focusing on what is good in your life, on what you're grateful for, okay? And I know that sounds very simple and plain, but trust me, it really does help and it really does make a difference, okay? So, do you understand what I'm saying? Before I close up today, though, I've got a little bit more advice for you that I think will be more helpful than what I just said. First of all, I want you to not allow this narcissist to taint your happiness and your experience being pregnant and having a new baby. Obviously he's made his choices, and now you get to make yours independently of him. Understood? And then, secondly, I think it's important that you understand, there's no big miracle that's going to happen here. Okay, so when or if he ever sees your child, whether you allow him to or he's ordered by the court to see your child, especially since you said he has other kids out there, he's not going to be some perfect father. And even if you do end up back with him for a period of time, it will not last. If I'm you, I wouldn't even go there. I would just be done. But I know that's easier said than done sometimes, okay? But you do know that he will be back. In fact, remember that as a toxic narcissist, he does have a personality disorder. And without serious therapy, that he ain't going to change anytime soon. And I know that that's not proper English. I just had to say it that way because it's so true. And whether, the therapy would work out anyway is pretty iffy because statistically speaking, narcissists don't get better because they never think there's anything wrong with them. You understand what I mean? So now it's the time for you to consider every option that's available to you, okay, and take nothing for granted. So remember too that your ex narcissist is unlikely to see your child as an actual person, but more likely to see him as a tool to be used to get what he wants or a piece of property. Okay, so don't allow that to happen to your child if you can avoid it. But I need you to be on the lookout for certain behaviors if your ex does get involved in your baby's life. For example, he may choose to disregard you or the baby's boundaries as the baby gets older. He may withhold affection from your baby in order to get the results that he wants from your baby, which is terrible, but is exactly what narcissists do. I mean, just think about if you had a narcissistic parent, you know that there was nothing you could do to please him or her. Anytime you did anything right, they always wanted more, 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 and they always found the things wrong with the things you did right. So, anyway, and of course, your narcissist will most likely neglect to meet his parental duties on probably a lot of levels. And, obviously his needs are always going to come before yours or your baby's needs. You probably already know that. So just be vigilant. Plus, remember this, since image is so important to narcissists, this guy's going to demand absolute perfection from your child anytime he's involved. Please ignore my typos there. And that's something that you need to be aware of and vigilant of in order to protect your child's psychological health. Okay? So the other thing that you need to consider is that your kiddo is going to feel a lot of pressure to be good enough, right? So unfortunately, no matter how amazing he or she turns out to be, it's never going to be enough for the narcissist. Okay. And then on the same token, a bit of psychology that you might want to consider as well. So let's just keep moving here. First of all, if your child is a girl, she's going to need to feel adored by her father. Psychologically speaking, little girls, when they don't get that kind of love from their father, they find themselves being, having, daddy issues. Now, there are things you can do as a mother to combat this if you're not dealing with the father on a regular basis, such as, having maybe a grandfather or an uncle or a very good friend step in and kind of be the dad figure that your child would need. Okay. While she's little, he's probably going to do okay on a couple of different levels, like saying she's beautiful, telling her nice things about herself. But as she gets older and becomes her own person, becomes, has her own opinions that may differ from his opinions, he's going to get kind of mean and he's going to comment on bad stuff like what she's wearing, her weight, her attitude, her intelligence, all kinds of stuff, all in negative ways. Your daughter needs to be validated by a strong, loving father who adores her, and it helps her to be stronger in future relationships when she has this. But when you know this, you can use your knowledge to do better for your children, okay? So, girls need to internalize their specialness, and healthy dads, or even dad like people, can really help with that, okay? And you, as her mom, can help with that as well because you'll be able to understand what she's dealing with and try to help fill in the blank spaces for her. Okay. Now, if your baby's a boy, which I know that Shantina, you said you have a baby boy, you need to know that he will never be able to measure up to his father's expectations. A narcissistic father is infamous for competing with his sons in very unhealthy ways. And if he's not competing, then he's ignoring. It's terrible, but that's exactly how it goes. So, in the case of your situation. Like, look, I remember when my ex, the one I just described earlier, he got very jealous of my child when he was born. And that was because I paid too much attention to my child. And he felt like he was losing out. He felt competitive with his own son. It's outrageous if you really think about it. But anyway, so the the other thing is that just as girls need to be adored by their fathers in order to be validated, boys need to have their dads believe in them, okay? And as the mom of this kid, you're going to have a lot of responsibility here, but it doesn't have to be terrible, and you can make a difference. Remember that knowing what you're up against is the very first step to making your life a lot easier, my friend, and a lot more successful, okay? So, knowing, I need you to remember this is not your fault, okay? You didn't know what you were getting yourself into, but now you're learning what a narcissist looks like, what a narcissist behaves like, and you know what to watch for when you're considering dating in the future. And this can help you avoid getting into this situation again. Let me just give you a little personal piece of advice for you. When I was a single mom, one of the biggest things that I did when I was talking to people that I was considering, men that I was considering dating or being with in the future, was I asked myself, hey, do I want my kid to grow up and be like this guy? And, if you can't honestly say yes to that question as a mom, that's not the guy for you. All right, just think about it like that. Sometimes it's so much easier for us to think about what's good for our children than it is to think about what's good for ourselves, especially when we've been in these narcissistically abusive relationships with these toxic people. Okay? So let's get on to the next thing here. So I'd like you to consider getting involved with a parent support group. There's one around me called Parents Without Partners, and they were very good for me when I was going through my situation with my ex. And I'd like to invite you to join SPAN, which is support for people affected by narcissistic abuse in relationships. Which is my online support group. It's totally free, totally confidential, and you can learn about that at queenbeing.com/span. Okay? So a couple more things. First of all, just let me say, I wish I had better answers for you. I honestly, I hope this offers you a place to start, and I hope that you remember to take care of yourself as you go on this journey. Please don't be afraid to reach out to people in your lives that you can trust and when you really need that support. And if it's not your family, maybe it's your close friend or a neighbor who's very kind with you, or who knows. You can, but you need to begin to build those connections if you don't already have them. Okay, get connected to some other single moms, work out some babysitting stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's lots of things you can do, and remember that there are different kinds of help available for you as a single mom, and you should take advantage of those as long as you need to. That is what they are for. Okay, I would definitely go after him for child support, even though he may never pay it. My ex-husband literally owes me $50,000 that I'm never going to see. Okay, but going after him for child support, you'll get some of his tax money and everything else. And if you don't, then at least he will be made mildly uncomfortable by the efforts of the state to collect. Okay? And finally, I think that your most important thing is just to please remember to take care of yourself during all of this. It's so easy for us to just forget, especially when we're single moms. We go through this phase, or single dads, we go through this phase where we're just so busy taking care of our children and doing all the things we need to do for ourselves, as far as paying the bills and taking care of the house and going to work and all the things we do, that we just forget to take care of ourselves. There was a one point in my life when I stopped and realized, oh my God, it's a damn good thing I've been showering because I haven't done makeup or hair in weeks. And for me, if you knew me, you would know that's not who I am. Everybody's different, of course, and I'm not saying that you have to wear makeup and do your hair every day. I'm just saying that for me, I'm a makeup and hair person. And for, during that marriage, when, toward the end of it, I totally gave up on that. And then even once I moved forward and was single by myself, it took me a good 6 months before I even considered anything like that again. Plus, I decided not to date until I was legally divorced for my own sanity. And that was actually a very good thing. It took me almost a year to get legally divorced. And I didn't date for probably a total of 14 or 15 months. And then I was just very, very picky after that. So whether that's good or bad, I don't know. It worked out okay for me though. So that's all I've got for today. I'll be back later with some more answers for you. And if you are looking for additional help with narcissism or narcissistic abuse recovery, please visit queenbeing.com. That's my blog, my website. Everything there is free. You can visit narcissismsupportcoach.com if you want personal one-on-one coaching with me, or if you visit that site today, there's actually a free 5-day email course on the front page that anybody can take. It's just a matter of submitting your email address, and I'll send you 5 emails over the course of 5 days that will help you to sort of begin to let go of the fear that you have. When you're dealing with getting out of or considering getting out of a relationship with a narcissist. It's a lot about finding yourself and understanding who you are better and being happier in your life. And finally, if you visit booksangiewrote.com, you will be able to see my books on narcissism, narcissistic abuse recovery, and some related topics, which some of those might be of interest to you, Shawntina, because they are focusing on, how to feel better about yourself as a woman. So something else to consider. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. I will see you guys soon. Have a wonderful day. Thanks.